As the coordinator of TAİK, it's my honor to invite Mr. Sedat Birol, the master of ceremony for tonight. Mr. Birol currently serves as the Executive Vice President of Eczacıbaşı Holding Health Division, and he has been a TAİK board member since 9 years. Mr. Birol, the floor is yours.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. It gives me a great pleasure to welcome you, our distinguished guests, on this special night to mark the 30th year of our Turkish-American Business Council, TAİK. With all due respect, I must point out that TAİK is the very first business council in Turkey ever had. And here among us tonight, we have some of our very first members. TAİK's first mission was to improve and diversify the Turkish-American business relations. 30 years ago, there were only few American companies operating in Turkey. Today, the number has reached nearly 1,500. The starting point was to balance American military sales. Now, we are partnering in a multitude of sectors. Clearly, we have come a long way. Dear guests, before coming to the opening remarks, let's take a look at a short movie taking us through the 30-year history of TAİK.
April 3rd, 1985. The courtyard in front of the White House. President Ronald Reagan and Prime Minister Turgut Özal standing in front of microphone. The first high-level contact with Turkey since the 1980 coup d'etat, trying to leave behind a time of political and economic turmoil. The main objective of the meeting is how Turkey-US relations would progress in a new era, following a strictly defensive cooperation since the start of the Cold War. Özal's statement defines the shape of the talks. We don't want more aid, we want more trade. Not being able to sell as much as it buys from abroad, Turkey-US trade is severely unbalanced, as is the case with many Western countries. By 1980, the lifting of the embargo imposed by the US in the wake of the 1974 Cyprus military operation makes things worse for Turkey's economy, due to a flood of foreign goods importation. There are talks of taking measures to offset the imbalance by increasing exports to the US. However, Turkish business circles suffer from a lack of expertise in this field. To support the Turkish side in this regard, it is decided to establish a business council, the Turkish-American Business Council. A deal is struck with the US Chamber of Commerce, commercial and industrial partnerships, and boosting public investment. Evaluation of joint ventures in third-party countries. Advisory services to officials regarding legislation and trade barriers deemed obstructive and hampering trade and joint ventures. Therefore, TAİK was created to promote Turkey and bring the Turkish economy closer to the United States. The success of this policy paved the way for the foundation of similar business councils for other countries, and the establishment of the umbrella organization TAİK by bringing together Turkey's prominent business people and associations. Every year, TAİK, along with its American partners, brings together senior government officials and major players in defense, infrastructure, energy, banking, finance, automotive, pharmaceutical, communications, culture, and the arts. Mutual visits between Turkish and U.S. trade delegations to Washington to lobby on Capitol Hill, sharing studies, views, and the policies of Turkey. Not only does TAİK maintain close connections with Washington, TAİK also operates in New York, Chicago, Houston, Orlando, Columbus, San Francisco, the Silicon Valley, Boston, New Orleans, Atlanta, Pittsburgh, Charlotte, and Manchester by hosting seminars to foster bilateral cooperation. Additionally, many influential American politicians, businessmen, and congressmen visit Turkey on a regular basis. Briefings and meetings for many senators and Congress advisors were arranged. The list of high-profile dignitaries include former U.S. President Bill Clinton, U.S. Secretaries of State Hillary Clinton, Madeleine Albright, Condoleezza Rice, U.S. Vice President Joe Biden, U.S. Trade Representative Michael Froman, U.S. Secretary of Commerce Penny Pritzker. 30 years have passed, and TAİK's mandate still maintains the development of strong liaisons between the two countries. With globalization and a new world trade order in mind, TAİK is taking confident steps to continue as a major player in the business world.
This was not planned. Now, for the opening remarks, I would like to invite one of our founders and our current chairman, Mr. Şerif Egeli.
Dear guests, colleagues, friends, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to TAİK's 30th celebration gala dinner. I plead for forgiveness from our guests who were with us in the morning session, because I would repeat some of my words tonight. They have heard that already. But I want you to hear all this. I would like to read to you a passage from a long and detailed interview undertaken by a prominent US journalist, Mr. Isaac Marcusson, with Gazi Mustafa Kemal Pasha in Çankaya on September 1923, and published in Saturday Evening Post on October 20, 1923. It goes, then Gazi added, "I am very glad you came. We want Americans in Turkey, for they can best understand our aspirations." He asked, "What do you want me to tell you?" First of all, I replied, "Can you give me some kind of message to the American people?" Without the slightest hesitation, and I might add that throughout the entire conversation he never faltered for a reply, he said, "With great pleasure. The ideal of United States is our ideal. Our national pact, promulgated by Grand National Assembly in January 1920, is precisely like your Declaration of Independence. It only demands freedom of our Turkish land from the invader and control of our own destiny. Turkey and US are both democracies. Our democracy is based on the absolute sovereignty of the people, and the great National Assembly, its representative body, is the judicial, legislative, and executive power. Between Turkey and US as sister democracies, there should be the closest relations. In the field of economic relations, Turkey and the United States can work together to the greatest mutual advantage. Our rich and varied national resources should prove attractive to US capital. We welcome US assistance in our development because, unlike the capital of any other country, American money is free from the political intrigue that animates the dealings of European nations with us. In other words, American capital does not raise the flag as soon as it is invested. All my life, I had inspiration in the lives and deeds of Washington and Lincoln. Between the original 13 states and the new Turkey is a curious kinship. Your early Americans threw off the British yoke. Turkey has thrown off the old yoke of the empire with all the craft and corruption that it carried, and what was worse, the selfish meddling of other nations. America struggled through the independence and prosperity. We are now in the midst of travail, which is witnessing the birth of a nation. With American help, we will achieve our aim. These words were uttered 92 years ago, before the announcement of the Republic of Turkey, by our great founder, Mustafa Kemal Atatürk. As our leader has declared and guided us, the Turkish nation has regarded the United States of America as our strategic partner in geopolitics, defense, and economy since a century. Prime Minister Özal acted along Atatürk's belief and vision, and TAİK has been established with the vision and mission described and stated in Atatürk's words, and she has followed these very principles with vigor throughout her 30-year journey. Our story started 30 years ago in 1985 on a sunny April day in Washington, D.C. Under the cherry blossom trees, we were waiting for the return of Mr. Turgut Özal, the new elected Prime Minister of Turkey, from his luncheon at the White House with President Reagan and Vice President Bush. Prime Minister returned and told us, few Turkish businessmen present, that as President Reagan was expecting him to ask for further credits from US, he has told him that we do not want more aid, we want more trade. This declaration was taken with a smile by President Reagan, probably not believing in it. Consequently, Mr. Özal demanded from us to do our utmost so that we could prove to US government that we can really realize this assertion. Thus, all Turkish companies capable of doing business in US should jointly establish a Turkish-American Business Council with the US Chamber of Commerce, who was instructed by President Reagan. Next day, under the leadership of Mr. Ali Coşkun, board member of TOP, we signed the initial agreement with AmCham in order to establish TAİK. Respectively, the 30-year journey started. We have walked a long path with many successful and failure laps. We have succeeded in various activities, measures, relations. However, could we achieve the optimum? Not at all. Our journey will not end but continue with even stronger vigor in order to reach to new horizons. From the beginning, along these 30 fully active years, very able chairmen, starting from late Ersin Faralyalı, Sedat Aloğlu, Mustafa Koç, Akın Öngör, Vural Akışık, Yılmaz Arguden, Ferit Şahenk, and Haluk Dinçer, together with their carefully selected boards representing all major Turkish and US companies, from every sector of the Turkish private and public business community have contributed immensely to all these efforts and activities. I thank greatly to all of them personally and on behalf of TAİK's board, presenting my deep appreciation of their work. Before concluding my speech, I couldn't sleep well last night. I think I was excited for today, but the whole film of the last 30 years went before my eyes. So I would share some of the scenes with you tonight. The first one is just after establishing TAİK, the first serious Armenian resolution came to the US Senate. Mr. Özal called me to Ankara and introduced me to a great friend of his, Mr. Jesselson, founder and chairman of Philip Brothers, the largest US trading company. He told to Mr. Jesselson, "Take this young man as your adopted son. We need you and we need a liaison between you and us." He said yes. From then on, I was his adopted son. Mr. Jesselson organized the Jewish community, the Jewish lobby for us, and they did a great work on this first resolution. I can never forget the 28 hours long filibuster speech that Senator Byrd, who really believed in Turkish case, gave in the Senate in order not to bring the resolution to the vote. Then Sedat was the chairman. I was not a board member throughout his reign, but I've attended a lot of conferences with Sedat. They were done at that time in New York, and as I remember correctly, his co-chairman was a gentleman from the US textile industry who never answered our pleas to lower the textile quotas for Turkish products. Then came Mustafa. Mustafa's reign was very exciting and exotic. The name Mustafa Koç was the key to every door in Washington. I thought, going to Washington so many times, that I had met enough people in Washington. But with Mustafa, my cartotex of Washington visited cards doubled. I remember one day we were there, he told me, "Today we will go and see 2 new faces. Maybe they will be somebody and will help us in the future." We went and met a researcher in Rand Institute called Zayman Halizat. Mr. Halizat then became the US ambassador in Kabul, in Baghdad, and in the United Nations. He became a great friend and helped us a lot, especially to Turkish contractors in Afghanistan. Then we went to ZAIS, John Hopkins School in Washington, D.C., and there we met Mr. Paul Wolfowitz. Mr. Wolfowitz became the second man in Pentagon and then the president of the World Bank. He became a great friend also, and he helped Turkey a lot. But the peak of Mustafa's chairmanship was the visit of President Clinton in Turkey. We had arranged a wonderful luncheon in Yıldız Palace for President Clinton and Mrs. Clinton. There were about 300 people there, but President Clinton at the last moment decided to make the trip from Ankara to Istanbul, a part of it, by car so he could see the earthquake zone. All those 300 people, including Prime Minister Demirel, waited for the arrival of President Clinton. I was hosting at my table Foreign Secretary Mrs. Madeleine Albright, and I remember in those 2 hours me and my boss, Mr. Tara, managed to persuade her to give backing to the Bechtel-Enka highway to be erected in Croatia. So you see, everything helps. Then I remember Princeton University. I had worked very hard to set up the first Turkish chair in a prominent US university, and Mustafa Kemal Atatürk Chair of Modern Turkish Studies was established in Princeton University. I persuaded Prime Minister Özal to come and do the opening. We came together to the luncheon. My son, who was a junior student in Princeton at that time, was instructed by his university to be the chaperone for the Prime Minister. He said, "Father, I am very afraid the Armenians and the Greeks are going to demonstrate against the Prime Minister." But when we went to the amphitheater where Mr. Özal was going to give his speech, there were 500 students and faculty in the amphitheater, and another 500, we couldn't get in, were sitting on the greens and looking at television sets assembled there for them to watch the things. There were no sign of Armenians or Greeks. Then I heard that the students stopped the protests and hushed away the protest makers. It was a great day for the public relation of Turkey on that day. Then Akın. In Akın's chairmanship, we had a wonderful co-chairman, the former Senator Nancy Kassebaum from Kansas. She was a wonderful woman. And Akın took her and her husband, Mr. Howard Baker, on a tour of all Anatolia. When she came back to Istanbul, she told me, "Sheriff, it was so lovely, I became a Turk." And then she really helped us with anything we needed in Washington. After Akın, we were together with Vural Akışık. The first Washington bilateral meeting with Vural was a misery because one day before the meeting started, Turkish Parliament have taken the decision not to allow the American army to pass through Turkey to go into Iraq. There was only one cabinet member from Turkey, our Minister of Defense. Everybody wanted to talk to him, we also, but he locked himself in his room, didn't come out, because he didn't receive any instructions or message from Prime Minister Gül. In the afternoon, the neocons took us to a meeting led by Mr. Richard Pearl. They started threatening us. It was really very frustrating, Vural and me trying to fight them. But thanks to Mr. Brzezinski, who was a great man, a great Turkish lover, he stood up and stopped this nonsense. With Yılmaz, the thing in my remembrance is how much time we spent at the US Exim Bank trying to bring Turkish rate at that time, which was the same as Uganda, down to normal, logical standards. They had no notion of the Turkish economy, and we had to fight with them for days to be able to achieve that. Ferit Şahin's chairmanship, we had again a wonderful co-chairman, General Skokroth. He was the most intelligent and the best strategist man that I have ever met. We learned a lot of wisdom from him. During that time, there was the NATO meeting in Turkey, and I remember President Bush giving his speech at noontime at the garden of Galatasaray University at the Bosphorus with the background of Ortaköy Mosque and the bridge. All TV viewers in the United States saw that scene and saw how beautiful Turkey was. Haluk Dinçer was one of the hardest working chairmen. He had gathered together a wonderful board covering all the major Turkish and US companies in Turkey. He always struggled to make more efforts to enhance our economic ties. But the peak of his presidency was also the last financial seminar we had in New York, which was arranged by Citibank. If Sarah is here, I thank her for that organization. It was a great meeting where all Turkish major companies listed in the Istanbul Stock Exchange met the top US funds in Citibank, and the evening closed with a wonderful dinner at New York Stock Exchange where our Finance Minister Mehmet Şimşek and the Secretary of Commerce Penny Petziger also participated. My film goes on. I could see 25 Washington bilateral meetings. Some of them were wonderful, where nearly 1,000 people have participated. We have hosted celebrities from US politics and business in those meetings, like Foreign Secretaries Condoleezza Rice, Hillary Clinton, Jack Immel of General Electric, Henry Ford of Ford Motor Company. But I also can remember a lot of seminars where Turks spoke to other Turks in English. One luncheon speech I remember, which was given by Bülent Eczacıbaşı. It was such a good speech, and the applause was so high that if you were out of the door and didn't know Bülent was speaking there, you should have thought Michael Jackson has given a concert. Also, I remember, again, it was a TÜSİAD delegation led by Bülent, where I accompanied them, and we were talking to the press. That was the Clinton time, and there was tension between United States and Iraq, and somehow the US press thought that I was the Iraqi expert. All the questions were coming to me, and I was criticizing United States that they were going on with the economic boycott of Iraq, because that meant also that information was boycotted from Iraq. So when no information came from outside, Saddam was speaking to his people the whole day and telling them to hate the world because the world hates you. And they asked me, why doesn't the Iraqi people make a revolution? And I said, there are two places in the Middle East where you can make a revolution. One is the bazaar. You have closed the bazaar. The other one is the mosque, and Saddam has closed the mosque, so there won't be any revolution. Those words were the title of Washington Times the next morning, and in the afternoon, two gentlemen from CIA came to integrate me. This film can go on forever. It was a lovely, never boring film, and I am extremely happy that I have lived through it. Finishing, my special thanks to our sponsors, to my valuable board members, especially to Nuri Çolakoğlu, Sedat Birol, Ekim Alptekin, and our coordinator Merih Kepez and her colleagues. Thank you for listening to me. Please enjoy your dinner.
Mr. Egeli, thank you for sharing your special memories with us. We are honored to have you as our chairman. For the next speech, please allow me to invite the president of TAİK's parent institution, the Foreign Economic Relations of Turkey, TAİK. Mr. Ömer Cihat Vardan, the floor is yours.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I don't have that much stories and memories, as Mr. Egeli has. So sorry for that, And thank you very much, as we say, Sherif abi, as sharing, his memories with us. Today it's a great honor for me to welcome you on the behalf of Foreign Economic Relations Board of Turkey, TAİK, at the gala dinner for the 30th anniversary of Turkey-US Business Council, TAİK. It is also a great pleasure for me to be with such distinguished guests who have been supporting Turkish-American relations for many years. When I was watching the film, I remembered one thing. And I first went to the States in 1984. That was, I was not even 22. And I was with Mr. Temel Kotil, who is the vice president of Turkish Airlines. We both went there, for our master's degree. And one of the first places we visited in the States, after New York, obviously, was Washington, D.C. There, of course, if you go to Washington, D.C., where would you go? Smithsonian. And, we were very impressed of the museum over there. When we watched all these, planes and everything, all things, and right now, at this stage, I would like to thank Koç family, particularly Mr. Mustafa Koç, one of the former chairman of TAİK, as explained a little earlier, for letting us to organize this dinner at their great museum, like Smithsonian, and of course, at a better place, I should say, on the shores of historical Golden Horn. Thank you so much. Then, of course, I would like to convey my sincere thanks to the board and staff of TAİK for organizing this wonderful gala dinner at such a beautiful place. Ladies and gentlemen, as some of you may already know, in the morning, we have successfully organized TAİK's 30th year symposium, where we discussed and evaluated the last 30 years of Turkey-US relations. I hope that those who were able to join us in the morning sessions enjoyed the symposium. In fact, as you had also seen on the introductory film, TAİK is the first business council which has actually been what we say embryo of TAİK, as explained, established in 1985. So it was about a year later, I launched to the States, as I say. By its members, projects, governance model, TAİK has always been at the heart of TAİK. TAİK then became a role model when setting up other business councils within TAİK. So, starting with TAİK, the number of business councils now has reached 124 as of today, and it is one of our goals to establish as many as business councils as we need in the future. Through these business councils, we have been serving our companies to work and to do business in global markets with their partners abroad. At the end, the volume of trade and investments between Turkey and the countries where we have business councils increase in the benefit of both sides. Two countries promote and implement almost similar values and ideals around the world, and there is a long list of common agenda items for the regional issues as well as global challenges. Therefore, as part of TAİK's mission, it is our first consideration to keep this friendship and develop relations towards mutually beneficial level, and we will continue to achieve this goal. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, at the end, once again, I would like to celebrate TAİK's 30th year, and I would like to thank to all who served in the development of relations, which some of which actually explained a little earlier, in the development of the relations between Turkey and the United States. I would like to thank Mr. Şerif Egeli and TAİK board for their valuable contributions and continuing support to the relations. Moreover, my special and sincere thanks to go to our guests, to you, who are with us tonight. Thank you very much, and enjoy the meal. Thank you very much.
We thank Mr. Vardan for his remarks. On this note, now, I would like to invite you to enjoy an exquisitely Turkish-American dinner accompanied by one of Turkey's most prominent jazz musicians, our one and only Kerem Gürsev and his quartet. Ladies and gentlemen, it's now my pleasure to share with you two video messages we received for tonight. One is from a global business leader, Mr. Ahmet Bozer, the Executive Vice Chairman of Coca-Cola Company.
TAİK camiasına Atlanta'dan selamlar. I'm delighted to have the chance to say hello to all of you, all my friends and colleagues who work hard, innovate, and create new opportunities for yourselves and others. Tonight, we are celebrating the 30th anniversary of the Turkish-American Business Council, working tirelessly to enhance trade and investment relations between the United States of America and Turkey. As we all know, TAİK's primary vision to increase the trade and investment volume between the US and Turkey is crucial for both countries today, in a period where sustaining economic growth is more important than ever. And in times like this, a reliable source of information and networking channel on bilateral trade issues for both countries is an invaluable asset for both the governments and the business world. I congratulate and thank all who have committed time and energy for this cause. Both Turkey and the United States needs your vitality, your passion, your sense of purpose, and your faith in the future. Governments, business, and civil society should take the steps to help reignite growth and jumpstart economic development, especially in this global context. TAİK is a shining example of all working together, deciding what the problem is and how we can align ourselves to solve those problems. This is especially critical in a challenging economy. And TAİK will be a pillar of strength and a beam of light with its 30 years of experience and reputation in doing so. I wish you all a great night of celebration and success in your future endeavors for a better tomorrow. Şerefinize.
The other video message is from the Ambassador of the United States, Honorable John Bass. Ambassador Bass was with us in the morning during our symposium and made the opening speech there. Unfortunately, he couldn't be with us tonight due to his planned trip outside Turkey.
Good evening, dear TAİK members and guests. 3 decades of existence as Türkiye ABD İş Konseyi is certainly worthy of a good party. I regret very much I cannot join you in person this evening, but I am glad to have this opportunity to extend my hearty congratulations to TAİK via this video message. Today is a celebration of the spirit with which TAİK was born and of the people who nurtured it over 30 years. From Mustafa Koç, right at the beginning of TAİK's story, to the current leadership team of Cihat Vardan and Şerif Egeli, and through all its other leaders over the years, I thank you for your efforts to build and strengthen business partnerships, an increasingly important part of relations between our two countries over the past generation. Today, even as we celebrate the past, it's also a time to look toward the future. As business leaders, you play a vital role in ensuring Turkey's path toward greater and sustainable economic prosperity. You are the job creators, the entrepreneurs, and the innovators. You know the kind of policies needed to sustain growth and attract investments in this highly competitive, globalized market. Together with my colleagues across the embassy and along with American businesses, I look forward to working closely with you as we work to further deepen our two countries' economic and trade relations consistent with free market principles. We are also committed to helping Turkey work to achieve its 2023 goals in a transparent and predictable manner, and to further Turkey's integration into the global economy. I hope all of you attending tonight enjoy the evening, and I wish TAİK many more decades of success. Tebrikler.
Ladies and gentlemen, now it's time for me to introduce our keynote speaker. As we sit in this marvelous Hall of Rahmi Koç Museum, our next distinguished speaker is no less than our host for the night. A 30-year member, the longest-serving chairman, the biggest Turkish-American joint ventures head, Mr. Mustafa Koç is more than a former chairman to us. I proudly present to you Mr. Mustafa Koç.
It's very, very difficult to be the last speaker. So I had to alter my speech a little bit, so not to bore you. I'm very, very proud to be with you all today to celebrate the 30th anniversary of the founding of the Turkish American Business Council. I also would like to thank all its leaders and members and the professionals, of course, especially Çiğdem and Başak, who I spent many, many years to work, and now Merih, which have contributed for the great success of this incredible organization. No other organization in Turkey has done more to raise the profile of the Turkish private sector in America or introduced American politicians and businessmen to the opportunities that Turkey offers. Thank you all for coming to celebrate this important milestone, and I would like to ask you to join me in a round of applause for all our colleagues and friends and Turkish American Business Council.
We thank Mr. Koç for his remarks and his indispensable contribution to the activities of TAİK. Ladies and gentlemen, now it's time to honor those who made this success story happen. Our very first members have been the engine of Turkish American Business Council. We would like to acknowledge their consistent endorsement that has made TAİK thrive and enabled it to become what it is today, effectively the largest and most prominent business council in Turkey. Please allow me to invite on stage the business leaders and heads of pioneering companies that have supported TAİK continuously over the last 30 years. To present their awards, let me invite to the stage both chairmen of DEİK and TAİK, Mr. Ömer Cihat Vardan and Mr. Şerif Egelin. Once again, Mr. Mustafa Koç from Koç Holding. Eczacıbaşı Holding, Mr. Bülent Eczacıbaşı. Sabancı Holding, Mr. Zafer Kurtul. Best Energy, Mr. Rona Yircalı. Gamma Holding, Mr. Hakan Özman. Enka İnşaat, Mr. Temiz Üstün.
Because as a 25-year Enka member, I started with Temiz this organization, and I'm proud that we get it. Thank you.
Menege Holding, Ms. Merve Ceylan Günal. Tekfen Holding, Mr. Murat Gigin. Türkiye Sinayi Kalkınma Bankası, Mr. Özcan Türkakın.
Sits at the chair of my father has sat for many years.
And now if we can invite everybody here to have a family picture to memorize this special moment, please. All the companies who have received Last but not least, we would like to acknowledge our sponsors for making this special gala possible. For their contributions, We thank to Koç Holding, Eczacıbaşı Holding, Gamma Holding, Best Energy, Enka, Ford Otosan, Turkish Airlines, Eclipse Aviation, Bank Positive, Anadolu Livestock, and Doğuş Holding. Ladies and gentlemen, our distinguished guests, thanks to you, we have become Turkey's most influential business council. Together with your continued partnership, we aim to grow ever stronger in the next 30 years to come. Thank you all very much for being here with us tonight.